Welcome to the Daily AI News Digest. This broadcast is sponsored by bestai.org. Today is July 17, 2026, and in today's explainer, we're cutting straight through the industry noise to look at the cold, hard market realities. The international AI ecosystem is going through a period of intense structural realignment right now, and we're tracking some significant macroeconomic divergences.
Here's our agenda for today. We'll start with the headlines in the market open, and then move on to the biggest moves driving the sector. From there, we'll dive into product and model realities, look at the latest regulation and business signals, review the analyst's take, and then wrap up with our market outlook.
Section 1. Headlines and Market Open. Let's get right into the July 17, 2026 overview. Four main stories are dominating today's landscape. First, we're seeing a severe contraction in Asian public markets, heavily impacting AI and semiconductor equities. In direct contrast to that, private venture capital continues to surge, highlighted by a massive new valuation for Databricks. On the technical front, Beijing's Moonshot AI has shifted the landscape by launching Kimi K3, which is now the largest OpenTrack model on record. And finally, in the defense sector, the U.S. military just hit a major operational milestone with an AI-controlled F-16 flight.
Section 2. The biggest moves today. We're tracking a stark macroeconomic contrast between a public market sell-off and a private capital surge.
Right now, public equity markets are showing clear anxiety about near-term enterprise return on investment. Japan's Nikkei 225 index actually dropped roughly 5% in heavy trading today. This sell-off was driven almost entirely by a reevaluation of computer chip makers and infrastructure providers. Investors are heavily scrutinizing whether the massive capital expenditures needed for gigawatt-scale data centers will actually yield the immediate productivity gains required to justify their current valuations.
But private market capital allocation tells a completely different story. Databricks just signed a term sheet for a strategic funding round led by Coatue, valuing the company at a staggering $188 billion. This capital isn't speculative. It's directly targeting what the industry calls the context gap. Databricks is using these funds to accelerate their Unity AI Gateway and Lakebase. That's a serverless Postgres database designed specifically for AI agents, aiming to give enterprise clients strict control over both data governance and compute costs.
Adding to that private market momentum, AI infrastructure startup Fireworks AI just closed a $1.5 billion Series D round, bringing its valuation up to $17.5 billion. They're deploying this capital to scale automated training agents across managed GPU clusters. So again, the private capital focus is entirely on optimizing infrastructure bottlenecks and lowering the unit economics of model fine-tuning for enterprises.
Section 3. Product and Model Realities. Let's break down the latest updates on Kimi K3, Gemini 3.5 Pro, and Fable 5.
This intense focus on unit economics brings us straight to the technological fundamentals driving these capital expenditures. Breaking down the data, we see a clear unit economic comparison between the top frontier systems. Overnight, Moonshot AI launched Kimi K3. It sits at 2.8 trillion parameters with a 1 million token context window. On long horizon knowledge work, it achieves an ELO rating of 1547. Now, while Claude 5 currently leads the benchmark pack with a 1653 rating, pay close attention to the cost per task. Fable 5 is priced at $10. Kimi K3 is delivering highly competitive performance at just 94 cents. That is putting intense price pressure on closed systems like GPT 5.6 Sol.
The structural modifications that make this efficiency possible in Kimi K3 are definitely worth noting. It's built on a sparse mixture of experts architecture, featuring native vision and an always-on reasoning mechanism. But the fundamental change here is their new Delta Attention framework, which alters how information flows across long token sequences. Crucially, Moonshot AI has committed to an open weights release of this 2.8 trillion parameter model by July 27th. That is going to place a massive, freely available tool directly into the public domain. Naturally, this overnight launch instantly complicates the market positioning for Google. The industry is closely watching for the anticipated arrival of Google Gemini 3.5 Pro. According to unverified reports, this launch follows a 6-week delay where Google apparently scrapped the base model to correct structural failures in recursive tool calling. If the rumors of a 2 million token context window and pricing near $1.25 per million input tokens hold true, Google is going to face severe enterprise pressure to justify its cost against these cheaper, highly capable open models.
Section 4. Regulation and Business Signals. We're looking at Washington, state action, and defense AI.
As these models scale up,
we have to track the policy updates and guardrails actively being built around them. In Washington, we're seeing a dual-track approach to AI governance right now. On the civilian and commercial side, the recent Executive Order 1449 establishes a strictly voluntary framework. It simply asks developers of frontier AI models to engage with the government before deployment. But on the flip side, National Security Presidential Memorandum 11, or NSPM 11, mandates the rapid adoption of AI across the national security sector. This memorandum enforces strict vendor accountability, actually directing agencies to terminate contracts with companies that demonstrate a pattern of conduct inconsistent with administration policies.
Looking at the timeline, we can clearly see the convergence of technical releases and compliance deadlines. The federal directives were issued in June. At the end of this month, July 2026, Kimi K3's open weights will enter the ecosystem. Then, looking forward to January 2027, the Illinois Artificial Intelligence Safety Measures Act takes effect. Illinois will become the first state to mandate independent, third-party audits of safety practices for frontier models. This adds to a growing, complex patchwork of state-level governance that enterprises are going to have to navigate.
Meanwhile, the physical application of these systems is accelerating rapidly. DARPA and the U.S. Air Force just announced the successful test of an AI-controlled F-16 fighter jet at Eglin Air Force Base. By using the Venom Autonomy Kit, standard operational fleet aircraft were modified to allow an AI agent to control the flight systems. The architecture does maintain a human-on-the-loop safeguard. That means a pilot remains in the cockpit with the physical ability to toggle between human and AI control at any time. This lays a scalable, grounded infrastructure for operational military AI.
Section 5. The Analyst's Take. Let's cut through the noise.
To synthesize these macroeconomic, technical, and regulatory shifts, let's look at a sober analysis of what this all actually signifies for institutional operations. A core market assessment published this month by Kursai frames the current environment perfectly. They note, the AI industry has entered a phase of ruthless cost optimization and structural realignment. The major builders are competing on unit economics, token efficiency, and total workflow integration. Essentially, the era of benchmarking solely for theoretical performance is behind us. The market is strictly demanding sustainable unit economics.
Section 6. Market Outlook and Sign-Off. Here's what we're watching next.
As we close out the week, here are the immediate market watch points. First, the industry needs independent verification of Gemini 3.5 Pro's leaked benchmarks and token limits once it officially ships. Second, institutional buyers are actively calculating the economic impact of the Kimi K3 open weights release on July 27th, watching to see if it will compress pricing even further across the sector. And finally, on Capitol Hill, we're tracking the progress of 10 bipartisan AI bills recently advanced by the House Science Committee. These target AI research infrastructure, security, and data center energy standards.
That concludes today's explainer of the latest market and technical data. Thank you for joining us for the Daily AI News Digest. We maintain our commitment to bringing you objective, fact-focused analysis of the structural shifts in the tech sector. And a quick reminder to visit our underwriter, bestai.org.
As we sign off and head into the next quarter, we want to leave you with the definitive, boardroom-level question driving capital allocation today. With public markets demanding clear evidence of near-term profitability, will Q3 infrastructure costs finally yield tangible enterprise ROI? We'll continue to track the data to find out. Have a productive day.